Are you looking for inspiration on a daily basis? Well, check out Deal to Heal Tees. With our inspirational tees, you're sure to find something that will inspire you. Just go to dealtohealtees.myshopify.com. That's Deal to Heal Tees. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear inspirational tee and be inspired all day. That's Deal to Heal Tees at dealtohealtees.myshopify.com. Hey guys, this is Ernest James, host of the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, and I got a question to ask you. Could you buy me a cheeseburger? Better yet, could you buy me a value meal? Yes? Well, guess what? I don't need a value meal. However, for the cost of a value meal, you can support this podcast to keep us on the air. Just go to Patreon/Deal to Heal podcast and choose any one of the 3 tiers that's available. And if you just want to make a one-time donation, go to Cash App and make a donation to $EJames, the number 418. Make a one-time donation to the Cash App, or again, go to Patreon to support this podcast and keep us on the air. Thanks in advance. Be blessed. Welcome to Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. On this podcast, my guest and I will discuss topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. I believe that everyone can live a life that is happy, healthy, and whole. So I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get to it. Welcome to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I am your host, Ernest James, and I believe that everyone can and should live a life that is whole, healed, and healthy. And therefore, I'm on a mission to help people to deal, to heal, and to fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast, definitely on all of our social media outlets, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We on pretty much all of them. So make sure you guys follow us. Definitely listen to the podcast and definitely share. You know, I know if you're here and you're listening, then you're getting some value out of it. So don't keep the value to yourself. Pass it on to somebody else, right? So pass it on to your friends and family that they may, get some healing in whatever areas they need healing in. And also they may be able to also subscribe and support the podcast. Also, I'm going to tell you how you can win $100 from the podcast, but you got to stay until the end of the episode to get that information. So make sure you stay until the end, which I know you will, because, you get value from what we bring. That being said, we're going to jump right into our next segment, which is our product of the day. So our product, let me look this up real quick. Our product of the week, should I say. Our product of the week is our Motivate t-shirt, which can be found on our Deal to Heal tees on Shopify. So I'm put up so you guys can see it. Where is that? Where we at? Bam. Yep. So that's our Motivate t-shirt. It says Motivate with the word move highlighted within the word, because we know that the word move is in the midst of the word motivate. So when we go to motivate you guys, we don't just want to motivate you just to be motivating you, but we want to motivate you to put you into action, to move, to make a difference in this world. And so that's our whole thing. We want to motivate you guys. We want you guys to move. So that's our Motivate t-shirt is our product of the week for this week. It can be found at dealtohealtees.myshopify.com. That's on Shopify. And if you just go to the description on the video, you'll find the link. You will tap it and go there. So there's that. So today, just like any other day, we are blessed with a guest, Mr. Andre. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you, sir?
I am great. I am great. First of all, let me say thank you for being here, for taking out your time to be here, because you could have been doing anything else, but you're here with me and my listeners. So I want you to know up front that we definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, well, that goes two ways. Like I said, I thank you for your time because that's one thing you can't get back. So thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem, no problem. So let's jump right in it. Andre, do me a favor, introduce yourself to my listeners and let them know exactly who you are and what it is that you do.
All right. So I'm Andre, Mr. Bounceback Amateur. I'm a music producer, a sound engineer, a certified teaching artist, as well as a mentor, husband, and father. Most importantly, I'm a three-time stroke survivor. Yeah, that's right. Not one, not two, but I'm three-time stroke survivor. Y'all can clap for that to yourselves. My wife and I run a my wife and I run a nonprofit organization called Responsible Artistry, where we invest into young scholars from age 5 to adults. We have been advocating for kids, parents, schools, communities for over the past 25 years. Also, I'm a first time published author and a first time best selling author of the book called The Impact of Influence, Volume 2. That's me in a nutshell.
All right, all right, all right. So we gonna jump into a couple of things that you said. I definitely want to hear a little bit about um, the whole experience with the stroke and how that came about, and
Absolutely.
how you overcame that. Because I know that there are some, including some people in my family, that has dealt with strokes. You know what I mean? And so I definitely
Okay.
want to talk a little bit about that because I know there's some healing in that. To even just to keep going after something like that. But we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. So do me a favor, Andre. Let's go back a little bit.
Okay.
Because I always say there's a journey before the journey, right?
Absolutely.
So there was a journey before, the addition of Andre that we see right now came
Yes.
to be. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then there was a story before that. Then there was a transition period to get us to where we are now. So tell us a little bit about the former Andre and the experiences that you went through to turn you into the gentleman that you are today.
Okay. That's a loaded question. um, it starts back all the way back in the fifth grade. I was in the fifth
Mhm.
grade and I had a teacher that just poured into me. I mean, she just like, you're the best, you're gonna be great, you're awesome, just motivated me to, do my work. But I believe that she prepared me for a 10th grade teacher. Because my 10th grade teacher said something totally opposite. She's like, you ain't nothing, you ain't gonna be nothing. Why you here? You wasting time. Imagine if I didn't have that kickstand, so to speak, or that support beforehand. So as I got older, I had to start to realize like words carry weight, words carry power. So instead of me getting angry with her and all that, I just got 100% motivated. I got moving. So I started doing cutting hair. So one day she saw me in the mall at the shops, and I didn't own the shop, but I didn't say I owned the shop. She looked at me with envy and hate, and it was like she was mad that I was just doing this. Like she looked at me to be somewhere else. So that turned over into it was two lanes in the street, right? I ended up choosing one lane, wasn't healthy for me, and I went down that lane, and then I had to learn a lesson. So, and learn that lesson, I had a choice: keep going that direction, or make a different move. And so I'm blessed to make that different move, and that's what landed me to here. But in the midst of all that, things transpired. Like I said, I'm a three-time stroke survivor, and so I had to learn like, okay, things weren't going right. I mean, things weren't going the way it should have gone. For example, I'll give you a quick story. Got a job, one of the most high-paying jobs I ever had, and I couldn't be late for work. Guess what I said? I shouldn't be late for work. My parking spot was across the street from my job. The job paid for it. All I gotta do is come to work. Just show up.
Mhm.
10 minutes till it's time to be clock in. I took advantage of that. That's part of my lessons I had to learn that I didn't appreciate or respected it to come in. I'm showing in 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late. Then one day I'm 20 minutes late. Like I'm thinking I didn't slid through. I didn't miss the supervisor, miss the boss. I ran into the owner. The owner came to me and said, "Oh, you don't just keep coming in here. Like like this is not important. So maybe this job not important. I said, well, wait a minute, time out, wait a minute, hold on, wait a minute, you know, what I got to do? He said, well, this is your first warning. Like, so you get 2 more, then you're out of here. No conversation. So this will pass. So I didn't take it serious. I'm just being honest. I didn't take it serious. I kept being late. It kept being late. It didn't happen again. So then that's when they say, okay, well, let's send you home for a week or 2 and see how that panned out. Right? Here's the thing. Bills keep coming. Right? I remember bills got to get paid. Kids got to eat. I got to eat. Clothes got to be worn. And all that kept coming. So I'm like, hold on one time. I need to rethink this thing. So then I started saying, okay, I need to change that part of me. Luckily, that's the persistence in me to say, okay, I realized what I was doing at that moment because I was backed into a corner, so to speak. You know, my dad told me that most dogs are not aggressive until you back them in a corner, and they come out aggressive. So I had to come out aggressive, not saying I'm going after somebody, but I had to go after my position of the job I had because I didn't appreciate the job at that moment. And so things like that started to turn, times for me. So one day, I'm going to work. I'm on time. Times keep going. I pull into the parking lot. I want to get the first parking lot. I mean, think about a 5-story multi-level garage, and you pull in, and you want to get the first spot because you run late. You want to get over there. I gotta go to first level, second level, third level, no spaces. So instead of me going up, I went back down and started all over again. So by the time I parked and got to the building, the boss was standing right there, like, okay, you think it's a joke? So he sent me home again. He's like, I was like, okay, this is not good. I need to change something. So what I learned was that people in success, they park on the 5th floor, on the 5th level. Why do they park there? Nobody goes up there. You can park anywhere you want up there, and you can just keep moving. And so I had learned to park up there, and at the same time, I changed my mindset because you have to think about when you have an opportunity and it's presented to you, you take advantage of it until you realize that it's an opportunity for you. And so that so parking up on the 5th level allowed me to learn that okay, the people with different mindset park here because they value what they're doing. So that's part of my journey to get me here. which
right.
My circle is very small. It's very small. And doing that and learning the things along the way allowed me to appreciate those things in that way.
Yeah, and I think that's really important that we learn to value the opportunities that we have. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't always get the opportunities. Opportunities is our fruit are in between. And until you have learned to master your mindset, your craft, your persistence. Once you get past that and you get in that groove, then the opportunities come a little bit more, but we got to get to that point first. But even in the midst of it, before it starts, we got to learn to appreciate the opportunity that we have and make the best of it. You know what I mean? And so I definitely agree with you with that. And going back to one of the things that you said, we're having that one teacher that poured into you, and then you even mentioned that was like 5th grade. Well, my incident that changed my life was 2nd grade.
Wow.
What I mean? So it goes back just the same, So when you said to go back, I'm like, hey, you know what I'm saying? And I think I appreciate, my whole deal as going back as young as I was, because it gave me a fresh start at an early age. I was able, because my mindset changed and things changed for me, my focus changed. I was able to avoid a lot of stuff as I got older because it was like, nope, that on the line with where I'm trying to go. You know what I mean? So I was able to avoid a lot of stuff, and some of my friends and family, because they didn't have no, life-changing experiences, you know what I mean? They just kind of went with the flow and got caught up in a lot of stuff, that had they had a different mindset, they may not have got caught up in. So I definitely can understand how that happens in that transition. And I want to mention a little bit about the book, because we have had two other gentlemen have been on the podcast that also was a part of the compilation that you talk about. I've had Chip on, Chip
Okay.
Baker has been on, and I've had Leonard Webb on.
Right.
Both guys who also was a part of that book. So I want to ask you, same thing I asked them, but I asked you too. What was your experience, with that whole situation of that coming together, and then just being a part of something like that, where there's this array of gentlemen, of men, you know what I mean,
Okay.
that's coming together and to share these stories to uplift one another. What
Right.
was that experience like for you?
Um. Well, you'll notice I like telling stories. This is a funny one. Chip called me about. Well, he texted me about 6 in the morning and said, I got an opportunity for you. Before I could finish reading it, I was like, I'm in. So he called me like 7. He said hello, and he'll laugh at this. I said, I'm in. I said, you had me at hello. So him not laughing at that, because I was like, I'm ready. Let's go. Like, not no now, mind you, not knowing where this journey is going. I just want to be on it because
Right.
I'll be honest with you. As I was working on myself, I was like, I want to be around men that the mindset different. You know what I mean? I want to be around like-minded, positive men. That things change. They see. Okay, I see where you at. I see where you're going. Okay, how do we get there? I'm not gonna write. I'm just using it as a metaphor. I'm not gonna write a check for you, and so you can cash it. What I'm gonna do is show you how you write your own check so you can cash it.
Mhm.
So what happened was he brought that to the forefront. Interesting thing about that, I got a line where I said I didn't put it in a book. It says you have to be uncomfortable to be comfortable. I was so uncomfortable during this process. I mean, I was just like, I don't want to talk to nobody. I just want to go right in and see what that looks like. I mean, Chip laughed at me. I wrote like 5,000 words. He's like, I don't need that much. You got to break that down. I said, I said, you started it, so let's go. And the experience to get around men, and we all just collabing, we all just feeding off each other. We all just lifting each other up while we're going through this process, because this was like maybe 9 month process, maybe. Um, and so you start one way, and then once you are getting accustomed to this, or getting your rhythm, or in your frequency, then all of a sudden you're like, let's go. I want more of this. I want to do this more and more. And so I just started doing that more and more, to the point where, and I say this, I've known Chip maybe 4 years, 5 years prior to the book. So we never met. We only social media. Then all of a
Mhm.
sudden, we did a book signing together. And I was stoked. I'm like, man, I mean, I understand that, or I understand that when you have a CEO of a company, and I'm using that as a reference, and you don't talk to that CEO. Like,
Right.
you get to the managers, the supervisors, but when you have the person who puts the project together, it says, I believe in you. I want to put you in this because I know you align with what we got going on. And then you have 18 other men in the same format. So I was like, let's go. I mean, I was with it. I mean, like I said, I started out rough, but as time kept going, I was like, I'm in my rhythm. Let's make it happen. Let's do it. So that's how it
Mhm.
all came about. It came about simply with a phone call, a text, then a phone call. That's how I started. And
Yeah.
then
Were you able to come together with the other authors also? Like, were you
we
all able to come together? Because I think, like you said, if it's 18 of y'all, I think that'd be kind of hard to try to get all of y'all in the same space at the same time.
Yeah, to be honest, it is, because everybody is not saying that they're not thinking about you, but they're in their own path, moving their own
Yeah.
way. But it was open to all of us come together and doing something. And what I mean by that is that we all had each other's contact. Like we all had each other's contact, with the point where, okay, when the time come, it'll happen. And I know that, talking to Chip one day, he's like, he wants to do that. He wants to find out how to put all of us in a room at one time. He said everybody had a powerful story to tell, but like you said, you have 18 men in 18 different locations with the same mindset going forward. It's gonna be kind of hard to put on. I mean, Zoom is like the best thing ever, but
Right.
try to put us in the same room at the same time, because most of us all live in different areas. So we haven't had the
Mhm.
opportunity yet, but I know it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, I know I expressed it, expressed the idea to Chip when I had him on,
Right,
him and Webb, who both. So we are in season 3 now. Both of them were guests in season 1. So
right.
it's been a little while since I've had them on, but I did express to them that I wanted to try to get at least 5 of you guys on at one time. You know what I mean? So I know this platform can have multiple, multiple people on. And I'm like, if I can get, 4 or 5 of you guys on, I mean, just to have
Right.
to talk about, the whole thing. And I think he, last time I talked to him, he was on like the second edition of the book, you know what I'm
I
saying?
think.
Or the compilation, because I
Well,
think he had 2.
I don't know too, but he did. I think he did another one for the women on volume
Okay.
3. So he did volume 1. I'm on volume 2 now. I know he did volume 3. Knowing him, he probably got another volume on the way.
Right.
Probably, he probably gonna do a kids volume. So if he
Right,
finishes it,
right,
he
right.
probably.
But
I,
so you just told me something, because I didn't know he did a volume for the women. So
yeah,
I might have to hit him up now,
yeah,
just
yeah.
to put that together. So, but yeah, I definitely expressed to him that I would love to have, some of you guys on to just all come together and be able to
Right.
talk about y'all experience together. So I think I'm reach out to a couple of the guys and see if we
Okay.
can pull that off. But I definitely appreciate that, man, and I love it. When men come together, and I say that all the time on this platform, because I have great guests. You know what I'm
Right.
saying, and especially when I have men on that's open and transparent, and that's in the work of trying to make a difference, especially in our homes, being
Right. Right.
examples. And then I definitely love it when we leave something that's going to outlast us, so like
Absolutely.
literature is, it's going to be here forever.
It's
You know what I
golden.
mean?
I
And
mean,
so
absolutely.
once you create something like that, it's definitely meaningful. And it leaves a legacy to your kids. Like, this is something that I can say, my dad did this, or granddad did this, or great granddad. It
Right.
outlives us. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? So I definitely appreciate that. So I want to talk a little bit about your. I know you mentioned about the uh, your organization, right?
Okay.
So tell
Right.
us a little bit about the organization and what you guys do there.
Our main goal is changing the mindset of the child and the parent. But you got to do those two got to go hand in hand, but it also got to go hand in hand with the schooling. So
Mhm.
our organization, what we do is we do day camps, summer camps, and we do artist residency. And we do it with kids who want to come in and learn music, or sometimes we have kids where we teach them about speaking properly, about standing up properly, about even doing their work. For example, I had a child where he was a great reader, but he just didn't like to read. So I did come with some different vocabulary for him. So I go in the classroom. He just he being funny for no reason. Like, he's being disruptive in a way where teachers are getting frustrated. And she was like, "Well, Miss Andre, can you help us out?" I said, "Absolutely, no problem." So I went and said, "We're gonna read it today." I ain't read nothing today. I ain't read nothing. I don't feel like reading. I said, "Okay." So I said, let me change that word. I said, "How about you skim through the book and you find words that you like and just underline them?" Well, guess what? He got to read the whole book just to find words he like.
Right.
So he skimmed through the book. So that lasted like 3, 4 months. Then he says, "I ain't doing it today, Miss Audrey. I ain't skimming nothing. I ain't reading nothing. I'm just gonna do that." I said, "Okay." I said, I need another word." I said, "I gotta get him through the end of the year." I said, "Okay, how about this? You don't have to skim. You don't have to read. But why don't you just peruse through the book?" He was like, "Peruse? What does that mean?" I said, "I'm glad you asked. Let's go to the dictionary and find out
Right.
what
You
that
gotta
word
look it
is."
up.
You gotta look it up. So that he went through the whole year. I had a kid who was good at math, right? Um, he's like, he can see you do a problem and know it like that. He understood it, right? But he was so fast to the point where, once again, he's overdoing the class, so to speak, right? So
Mhm.
I'm sitting there saying to him, I said, "Have you ever played chess?" He said, "No, but I like checkers." I said, "Well, chess is like a upgrade to checkers, right?" He said, "Okay, what that means?" I said, "Okay. look at it like this. I said, chess is like geometry, algebra. He's like, what is that? I'm glad you asked. Let's go see what does that mean? What does that look like? I said, you can do a math problem with chess. He said, how? I said, just by moving certain pieces. So now he's intrigued to do math work, but he's doing it through chess. So I did that through him. And all of a sudden he started, he, 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 he played chess. I had some kids I've been doing chess with probably 5 years. He was been beating them like they sitting still. Because once again, he understood the concept, right? So my wife and I have this phrase we call simplicity is the key to our genes. We just simplify everything. That's it. We just simplify it so they can move. So that's our organization. We go into the schools, we get with kids or maybe the teachers or principal might say this kid or these kids or this class may have this. Some schools allow us to go into the classroom and just go out throughout the day. Well, teachers can't stop and pause every time there's an interruption with a child unless they have to. So we just pull some of those kids out, or we find ones who love music. I mean, most kids love music. They don't realize they're learning in the process. Like I'm doing reading with them, or doing math with them. I'm teaching them how to speak in front of people, how to stand up straight, how to talk. And I have a thing called it's called listen, think, answer. So they have to listen to the question, think about it, and then answer. So this simple, like I said, we just simplify everything we do with them, and that's responsible artistry. And the title it tells you a lot. Responsible artistry. We're taking our art and being responsible.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. What was the quote again? You said simplicity.
Simplicity is the key to our genius.
To our genius. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I like that. Man,
Yeah.
so so I heard you mention your wife,
Right.
and also I know I asked you before we started, as far as your children, and you mentioned about your sons. So I want to ask you a question. Even in the midst of it, and I'm very glad when I heard you say that you and your wife work together. So I
Right.
think that's amazing. You know
Thank
what I mean? So because a lot of times, it's either one or the other.
That's
One has
good.
the passion, the other one not necessarily have the passion. Definitely supportive, you know what I'm
Right.
saying, but not don't have the same passion. But when you're
Right.
able to come together and you both have the same passion to be able to put into a work to do, I think that's amazing. And you talked about your the kids that you help through your music. So just
Right.
with you and your wife working together and your sons, are they a part of the organization? I don't know their ages, so so I don't know if
Well,
are
no,
they active in it
they
too, or they
nah,
like with the
they,
rest of the students.
they used to be, but no, they're grown. But wife and I run the organization together and deal with them.
Mhm.
Um, I would be transparent. We did, my kids and I didn't have a great start together because of
Mhm.
how I was when I was younger. So I had to realize that I'll say this: there's no blueprint to being a father.
Yeah,
I could talk to people who got kids, but until you have kids, there's no blueprint to it.
yeah,
That's like being a husband. I can see so many different great examples of being a husband, but there's no blueprint once you become one. And so
right.
I had to learn both those two things almost at the same time. I had to learn how to be a father. I had to learn how to be a husband. I had to learn where I was like the type of father was like, go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Never sitting down, and listen to them speak to me. I was like, nah, let's go this way, let's go this way. Then I said, you know what, I need to pause. And so I did a lot of self development for myself. And then it came to a point where they started speaking out, and I know it's probably the hardest thing is when you have your child and your child says this bothers me, or this gives them this I don't feel good with that, or this is this way. Now as a father you want to snap back, but this was a part about me where I had to step back instead of snap back. I had to step
Mhm.
back and listen. That's what I do: listen, think, answer. So I listened to him. I thought about it. I said, okay, what's the solution from this point on? So we agreed to just have a conversation. But now I mean, we like butter. We just, I mean, it just flows smooth. We talk, we joke, but it took time. Same
Yeah.
thing about marriage. I've been married 21 years, and it took time. It took time for me to learn how to be a husband because I didn't know. I'm not perfect. I mean, I
Yeah.
had to learn how to be vulnerable. I had to learn empathy. So I had to learn those things to move forward for myself, just as well as for them, because they're not. They know what we do, but they're not into that because they into what they do, and that's the part about teaching kids or teaching my own kids is that I don't want if I'm an orange, I don't want you to be orange. If you're a banana, then I want you to be that banana. But I want you to be the best, shaped ripe banana you can be. I mean, if that's your lane. I say this thing called you can be in the right car but in the wrong lane, right?
Mhm.
So a lot of people are in the right car but they're in the wrong lane, and so that means their kids follow them down that same lane because you're not saying be who you are. We all are individuals with our own personal gifts and goals.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely want to touch on something you said because you talked about um having some personal development yourself,
Right.
and I think that's important for everybody. And the younger we are when we start, the further we can get.
Absolutely.
I've had my own journey with getting into personal development, but it was more recent. I'm 46. I probably started, a couple years ago, maybe 3 years
Right.
ago. My journey, and I've learned so much about myself. I learned so much about how I process things, and not only how I process, but how I interact with other people, and how that impacts them.
Right.
That had I learned some of these things earlier, I think about even with the work I'm doing now, how much of a difference it would have made in me, but how much of a difference it would have made into the lives of the people that I touch. Had I been just a little more familiar with my own self personally, And so I'm glad that, you talked about the personal development. I think that's important for all of us.
Okay.
Another thing that you said that I definitely agree with is as a father, it is hard sometimes to hear your kid's voice, especially when that voice might be saying something that you really don't want to hear.
Yeah.
I remember having a conversation with my youngest son, and who's my daughter is the baby now, and she's 19. She's finna be 20. So I don't have no babies. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
But I remember having a conversation with him, and he was saying that one of the things that he didn't like was that I didn't give them a chance to grow up.
Right.
Because I was so, which is as a dad, like you said, there's no blueprint. So
Right.
you do
Right.
what you feel is in the best interest. And so for my boys, I was not necessarily hard. I don't think I was hard, but that's it depends on who you ask. You know what I mean? But I was a stickler on responsibility and doing what you're supposed to do. And so that's what he meant by not having a chance to grow up, as far as having to take on responsibility so early.
Right.
And unfortunate for him, when he was getting of age, where I would usually have spent more time with him, me and his mom was kind of going through our go through. And so
Right.
that took a lot of my focus. With
Right.
his older brothers, everything was cool. And so I could focus on them, and so
Absolutely.
I had to apologize to him for, just not giving him the attention that he needed at that time. Still turned out a great young man, but just as a father, to be able to, hear your kids out, number one, and
Right.
then if you wrong, you wrong, but be willing to accept that, okay, I don't know it all, you know what I mean? And
Right.
I can apologize for what I don't know, which definitely with our boys is something that they got to be able to do. They got to be able to see that vulnerability. They got to be able to have that, moving forward, so they don't try to go forward with this false narrative of I'm always right,
Right.
because
Right.
I'm the man, so I'm always right, and what I says goes. No, there's some balance in that, and you got to be able to process that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It,
So I just, that was just one of the things that stood out to me that I like that you said. So One more thing I want to talk about before we get out of here. You mentioned about being a 3-time stroke survivor, and I
Right.
just want to hit on that a little bit. Because like I said, that I have had people in my family and loved ones who have had strokes and may not have bounced back, you know, to their former self. I mean, you're never your former self, but then there's a not bounce back as much as they would like to have. Let's
Right.
just say it that way, And then definitely with you being Mr. Bounce Back, so you've been able to get this thing to a point where you're able to function, what I'm saying, and still get things done on a high level. Definitely still running this organization with your wife, So tell us just a little bit about that, because I personally, just to be honest, I don't know a lot about the causes. Definitely we see the effects afterwards sometime, depending on how well the person rehabs. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So just tell me just a little bit about your experience, and then some of the mechanisms or coping mechanisms that you maybe use to bounce back that may be helpful for somebody that's listening.
Okay. So one of the things where I'll say I'll start like this. I had the worst type of high blood pressure there is. It's called ligament hypertension. Ligament hypertension, and if I'm hyper by nature, so how bad can that be? Now I'm hyper now because I'm trying to relax. Like I'll be honest, my wife is like, baby, calm down, because I'm hyper by nature. So being hyper by nature and not knowing that. So when I had the first stroke, it wasn't noticeable as the second two, but the second one hit me harder physically than the first one. The third one hit me harder mentally than the second one. So imagine going through those things, or imagine you start your day as a normal individual like you were the day before, and then at midday your day just stops. It just you run into a straight brick wall, not physically but mentally to a brick wall. And you're like, what happened here? And then I'll fast forward right quick. It took 14 years later for somebody to say, "Here's what caused it. Here's what caused it." Now, mind you, and I'm just being honest, no doctor within that time frame told me what caused it. They just said you had hypertension, you had a blood clot, this caused a stroke, right? And 9 out of 10, that's what causes a stroke when you have a blood clot, right? But when I got to my 14th year and my last stroke, I had a doctor actually sit down with me and draw out what caused the problem. Here's how you solve that problem, right? So I was already eating. I When my second stroke, I was eating okay, not as good as I should have been. My third stroke, I became vegan. Right, I learned how to eat different things. I learned. My body kept telling me, "Don't touch that. Don't do this. Don't do that." And I started to learn. So, how you eat something like, "Oh, I'm good," and then you not be good. Then you say, "Am I? What happened?" Then you eat it again. So now you realize, like, okay, don't eat that. So
Yeah.
I don't eat no a lot of things I don't eat. I mean, my I get joked a lot. I say, man, you're just like a deer. All you eat is vegetables and fruit. I said, well, guess what? A gorilla eats vegetables and fruit too.
Right.
And
Right.
I said, let me why I'm not saying we'll do this to you, but a gorilla is 10 times stronger than a human being. That's all
Right.
they eat, right? So apparently they're eating healthy. But self care is vital to your family members, to anybody who listens. If you're going through that, you have to change your diet, physically, mentally. Have to change that, right? Even spiritually, you have to change those certain things about how you maneuver. My wife and I have a thing we do. I go walking, and then or we go to the water. Like water was one of my healing pieces of principles in me healing. I talk better now and walk better now. Unfortunately, I've been through this two prior times. So I mean, I
Mhm.
had to come. I had someone clicking. I have had a third time, so I do a lot of walking or getting to the water. Okay, believe it or not, water works muscles in your body that you never worked. You think you work them, but that water used to beat me up. I mean, remember I said I'm hyper by nature. I would finish water, go home, be sleep for 30, 20, like about 2, 3 hours. And my wife was like, "What's wrong?" I said, "Water just beat me up." Walking in it, bending in it. I did stuff like that. I walked in it, I bent in it, I stretched, and those things started working. I started saying, "Okay." Then also I ate different, right? The biggest part about all this, my wife is my backbone. She's my support because she kept pushing me and saying, "Okay, let's go, get up." And trust me, I was fighting all the way walking out the door. She was like, "Ah, let's go." I'm like, I don't feel like it because we're going through it. Through the mental aspect of it, I was really messed up. I mean, they had me on in my opinion, they had me on too many drugs that I'm not used to. My body was fighting it. Then, like I told you, the third one was mental. It's more mental, and that really messed me up a lot. Like to the point where I started asking questions, and it's okay to ask a question to your doctor. What's that for? Why I need to take that? What's side effects? Okay, what's the most side effects? And tell me ones that are not as much, because the ones that are not as much are actually the ones that are the worst. So I started asking questions, and so I started rejecting things they were doing. I came out and I was taking 12 different medications. I was like a zombie. I couldn't do too much nothing because it was too much for my body. To the point now I'm down to 4 medications. But I eat different. Mind you, everything is different. I'm not doing nothing the same way. I eat more raw stuff. I don't use a microwave when I cook. Like I cook more fresh things. So those things that help you in the midst of going to the doctor and talking to them and telling them what's going on. Tell them how you feel. I mean, there's nothing wrong for you going in and asking questions because remember, you paying them to take care of you. So why do you say because they're the doctor, they know what's best for your body? You know what's best for your body. You know what you need to do to help yourself. Is it a hard journey? Absolutely. Is it easy? No, it's not. You got to have the willpower to get in there and do it. I mean, support system would definitely be a big part of that. That's definitely was a major part of what I was doing. But it's an uphill battle. I mean, I always tell people like this: when you was a baby, you didn't know how to walk, talk, use the bathroom, wash yourself when you first came out. You had to learn those things. The same thing as a stroke. You had to learn those functions all over again, but just an adult or however
Yeah.
you had it. You know what I mean? My mom died from a major stroke. I mean, it just knocked her down. And I was like, okay, I need to make sure I keep, changing what I do as much as I can. So, like I say, change the diet, exercise, and make sure you ask those questions to your doctor or doctors when it comes to you and yourself. Like notice, try to watch what you're eating. That's the first step, and seeing what doesn't agree with you. Just because it
Yeah.
tastes good, don't mean it agree with you. Don't mean it's
Right,
good.
right.
Don't mean it's good for you. Listen. I like tomatoes and I like pineapples, but they just don't like me. So
Right.
I had to change that. So, but yeah, I mean, the best advice is to watch what you're eating and exercise daily. And once you see your body and how it's doing, then change those things. If you're taking medication, see what it's doing to yourself, like for your moods, your mental, everything. All that plays a part. I mean, you are responsible for yourself more than anyone else. Look at it
Right.
like that. Like, be honest.
Yeah.
I can talk about that all day long, but
Right.
I
Well,
just
I got one more question. I got
go
one more
ahead,
question.
good.
I got one more question. So one of the things that we haven't necessarily talked about,
Okay,
but we've talked about is the patience, the persistence, and the prayer that's
okay,
needed to definitely get through, the stroke aspect of it, but then
yeah,
just in your end life period, as you go forward. So I want you to speak on that, real quick, and just how important that is, to all of us, but then
okay,
how much has it made a difference just in your life,
okay.
putting those things into action.
Good one. That's a good one. So that title became out because the patience I didn't have, the persistence I wasn't doing, and the prayers I didn't take full advantage of. So let me start right there. with the patients was this. I had a family, and it's in the book. I have a family relative who was teaching me the structure of doing business and teaching me how to function in doing that on a high level. I thought that he was teaching me to be a flunky. Go do this, go do this, go do this. So I was like, I don't have the patience for that. I'm not gonna do that. And then I started learning to see where once he was doing that with me, I said, oh, this is what he's doing. So it started to be instilled into me. So when I started telling people, meet me over here, or meet me over there, and you roll in 5-10 minutes later, I'm like, okay, you messing with my time now. Like I need to hold on, time out, pause. Like no, don't do that. Like you said, be here 10 minutes prior to. I was here like 13 minutes prior to because I honor that time. I value that. The persistent part, that's action, right? You take action and you follow through with it. And this is in the book as well. I used to go start it, but I had a hard time finishing it. Not because I didn't want to, because my focus wasn't on as it should be. I'm not perfect. It's every day is not a good day, but I treat every day as the best day ever because I don't know when's going to be my last day. So that's my persistence. The prayer I learned from a older gentleman. He's a pastor. He told me that he said one of his main thing was never forget about God. He said, I don't care what level you about to go to, never forget about God. Always remember that. So I make sure that I pray before I hit the bed. I pray when I get up. Sometimes I pray during the daytime because like if as human beings, we don't really realize how lucky we really are. Like really. Like 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 you just move on like you have all the time in the world, but you really don't. Like I just heard somebody say you're not gonna live past 200. Some people don't even get to 100 these days.
Right.
We just saw a lot of people just pass away in this last year or two dealing with COVID and taking COVID for a joke, right? I mean, you have to build yourself within before you do something without. Right? Once you get out there, then you have to teach that to somebody else. That prayer part of it is really helped me push me through. I mean, the patience that I had to learn to have, for people who didn't know me being patient and the persistence. I'll be honest, I'm still working on that because once again, I told you I'm hyper. I get bored easy. I have to go. I pick some of us up and go over here and do it, and then come back over here and do it. To me, it looks like, oh, that's great, but it's not because if I'm doing that same thing, it can be 4 hours later, and still not completed. So I had to learn how to, manage my time to be able to do that. So I think all those things are something you work on every day. Every day of your life, you got to work on all those things because something is going to change within that moment. So.
Yeah. Man, Mr. Andre, I definitely appreciate you being here, man. I definitely appreciate you sharing your story with us and your wisdom. I want you to leave us with, a word of inspiration, motivation, whatever, however you feel, I want you to do that and definitely give us your the information on your organization, how we can find out more, the website and your social media handles. So I'll give you a second to think about that. To my listeners, I told you guys that I was going to tell you how you can win $100 from the podcast. And so you can win $100 from the podcast by entering our super subscriber contest. So what does that mean? That means you must subscribe to our YouTube channel, to our Facebook page, and to our podcast on Spotify, which don't cost you nothing to subscribe to any of those. So after you've subscribed, you would text the word WIN, WIN, to the number 866-326-0730. That's 866-326-0730 in order to qualify to win $100 from the podcast. The contest is ongoing, so it never stops. And the contest is random, so at any time I can pull a name, and then that you will be the winner for that time. So in order to win $100 from the podcast, you got to enter our super subscriber contest. And again, that's just very simple. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Facebook page, and Spotify podcast. Then text the word WIN, WIN, to the number 866-326-0730. 0 to qualify to win. Mr. Andre, again, let me say thank you very much for being on. Thank you for taking out time from your family to spend with me and my family. I definitely appreciate it. So I'll let you have the last word. So the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to keep saying thank you because, like I said, time, you can't get that back. So thank you for that. So for our organization, it's responsibleartistry.org. So it's responsibleartistry.org. For myself, it's Andre, like you see on the screen, Amiger.com. And you'll find me on all platforms going that way. Find our organization going that way. So I would say this. All right. So last thing I would say is something I just started doing because I'll tell you. I'll say it first and I'll tell you why. Brother Ernest, man, I love you, man, because you exist. Because like we need to show that love back to each other because it has to be done. Why does it have to be done? It's hard for a man, let's say a black man, let's be real specific. It's hard for a black man to go to another black man that he don't know, he's never met, and tell him that he loves him because he exists. He's proud of him to keep moving. But it's easier for us to kill somebody who look just like us like that. So at some point we got to change that thought process. We got to change that vibe or energy, whatever you want to call it. We got to change that to the point where we stop doing that. People always saying, cops killing us, whatever. We're killing ourselves more than we're being killed by cops. Just being honest. Like it's more killings of blacks killing black men on top of that than us going to a stranger, a black man that you don't know, and walking up to him and telling him you love him because he exists. And, keep doing a good job. Keep being on this positive path, right? So that's the challenge for every black man that's listening is walk up to one of them and say that and encourage them in some way. It's hard for us as men to be vulnerable, right? It's hard for us to sit there and say, okay, we have a problem. A mental problem is real, and we don't have nobody to talk to, or we don't want to talk to, or we're taught not to talk to. So at some point, we got to stop that within itself. We're going to find that person that won't judge us, but just that we'll be able to talk to. So I'll go there and say that. But my very, very last thing you see on my hat, it says, be great, be well, be life.
All right. We can't end it no better than that. To my listeners, thank you guys for tuning in one more time to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, where our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Until next week, be blessed. Hey guys, I know you're enjoying the podcast. However, don't forget to join our text line at 866-326-0730. That's 866-326-0730 in order to receive text messages with new events and things that is going on and new episodes as they release. All right, see you in a minute. Thanks for listening to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Remember to listen, like, subscribe, and share. This episode has been brought to you by Deal to Heal Teas. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tea and be inspired all day. Let's go to dealtohealteas.myshopify.com. Remember, our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for listening.